Welcome to Miami-Dade College in Focus. I'm Juan Mendieta, Director of Communications at Miami-Dade College, and your host today. You, our television and internet audiences, are accustomed to seeing our student reporters reporting from our college on various topics on this show. In this episode, we have decided to bring you something a little different and special from our television studios. Today, we will be learning about a very special Cuban hero, Rogelio González Corzo. Rogelio, who was last known or best known in Cuba under his alias Francisco, lost his life at the young age of 28 years old when he was assassinated by Fidel Castro's troops back in 1961. We have invited as our special guest Senator Javier Soto, current commissioner of Miami-Dade County's District 10. The senator visits us to tell us about the legacy established in memory of his great friend Francisco. Senator Soto, welcome to the show. As always, it's a great pleasure to have you on our programs. And also because you're an alum of Miami-Dade College and studied at this campus back in the 60s. Tell us about that first before we get into the topic.
Well, it was quite an experience for me to come to this college. Actually, I think in this same building I came to my first classes. It was 1963 or so. And it was my first experience with American education. It was really something for me. I remember I used to walk into this building feeling so happy to be here in the USA and to be part of this. I was here for a couple of semesters, I think it was, and then I continued to another institution, another university, and it was great. It was really great, and that's why I have so much admiration and love for this college, the first college in America.
And today we're here to talk about education because the Francisco Foundation, which we'll talk about in just a minute, is very important because of the scholarships that it provides each year to students, to deserving students. But before we get to the actual foundation, I'd like to talk about Francisco, about Rogelio himself, who he was, what he did, and why you felt so strongly about establishing a foundation in his memory.
Francisco, or his true name was Rogelio González Corzo, was a young man, as you were saying, 28 years old, an engineer, an agricultural engineer, who, because of his political views and friendships and people that he gathered with, was assassinated by the Castro's regime's thugs one day in Havana in April of 1961. I think it was the 18th of or the 20th of April of 1961. He was a very charismatic young leader, an individual who commanded great respect and admiration, a person who was followed by men and women alike to the end of the earth. Really, it was like that. He was able to put together and to direct or to guide a group of individuals in the fight for democracy in Cuba against the Castro regime, as you know, as you were saying, the communist Fidelista regime of Castro and his cronies. The thugs are in the army and the militia and all that in Cuba, and they used to pronounce themselves and to edit newspapers and produce gatherings that made the government very, very nervous, and finally they started putting them in jail and executing some of them, and among them was Rogelio González Corzo Francisco, a tremendous young man, a very clean person in his life, you know, extremely transparent, an individual who was a communicator, a motivator, a person who was so much at ease with everybody, and so much liked by most everybody. I've never heard any person saying anything bad about him, which is strange in these days that we live. Totally transparent and totally honest and totally himself. You know the thing of what you see is what you get. Mm-hmm. What you see is what you get with him. So that's the kind of guy that he was. And because of that, we got into a group of friends into this idea of creating a scholarship in Miami-Dade College to try to tell the people, especially the young people, tell the world, but especially young people, who this man was and what were the ideals that motivated him and that got him to fight for democracy, for freedom, for justice, for and all of that, which at the end tries to what all these people in general tried to achieve was a better future, a better world, a peaceful world, and a better world for everyone. So that's, in a nutshell, that's the history behind it and the story of Rogelio González Corso, known as Francisco.
And this was a young man who also studied at the university level, was an engineer. You had mentioned previously that he worked for a fertilizer company,
Exactly. He was a young, 20 years old engineer who went to school at the University of Miami, University of Havana, and Louisiana State University. I don't know if he took courses at UM. It's possible that he did, but I know that he graduated from University of Havana, and then he took postgraduate courses at LSU, Louisiana State University. He was an agriculture engineer in a fertilizer company, big company in Havana in those days, called Productora de Superfosfatos, or superphosphates producer company. Nitrafos company dedicated to produce fertilizers. And he was in charge of promoting activities. I visited him several times at his office in downtown Havana. It was overlooking Central Park in Havana. Tremendous young guy, very open, very friendly, very loquacious, enthusiastic, you know, a gung-ho type of guy.
And you said also that he was just about to get married when he was assassinated.
He was about to get married. He was he never married, of course, and his girlfriend never married to anyone. As a matter of fact, she passed away recently here in Miami. Well, she was Dulce Carrera was her name. She was probably in her late 60s or so when she passed away, 70. Also, she never married anyone because I guess the guy was such a figure in her life that she, of course, to her, he was a super, that he was a super guy and an example to anyone.
So for all those reasons that we've mentioned, you and a group of your colleagues decided to first, I guess about 10 or 15 years ago, establish the Francisco Foundation. Exactly. And then later on the scholarships. Tell me about the establishment of the foundation and the goals.
We got together and we established a foundation with the idea of keeping his name, you know, letting the people know who he was, what he did, why he died for that cause, and for the future generations, for the future of generations in Cuba, for also the younger generations in Latin America mostly, and the world, because this guy, this individual, Rogelio González Corso Francisco, it's not only belongs to Cuba or the Cubans, or he belongs to the world. I think his ideals, his views, his what he felt about his fellow human beings, what he visualized. It was the same ideals that motivate and the ideals that move the great leaders of the world. And that is why we try to let everyone know that this fellow, who happens to be from Havana, Cuba, is a man of these days, a man of also of the future, and there's a lot of truth and a lot of vision and things to follow in his teachings or in his example, and that it's important to the world to listen to what he was trying to say and to follow in his footsteps for the betterment of the world.
So now for 6 years straight, you and your colleagues at the foundation have been providing scholarships to Miami-Dade College students, I think in the last 4 years, to 3 students each year in an amount of $2,500, which is significant and really helps these young people continue their studies and start their careers. In fact, in the second segment of this program, we'll have one of the award recipients with us on the show. But tell us about the satisfaction that it gives you when you and your colleagues can help young people who want to better themselves and the community continue studying.
Well, it's great to be able to work in this direction and to help young folks, young people, boys and girls, to move on in life and achieve their dreams and try to make a better world all together. That's in essence what life should be about, of living in peace all over the world, and to be able to have a higher quality of living, quality of life, much better life for each and everyone. Every time I see in any place of the world hunger and suffering and dictatorships and oppression, you know, I think about Rogelio González Corso and what he would say about all that. I think it's important that these young folks keep on moving with those ideals to be able to have a better world for all of us in the future.
Well, thank you very much. This first segment is up. When we come back, we'll talk to our viewers about the application process. And more importantly, we'll have one of the winners of the scholarships with us. You won't want to miss it. Please stick around. You're watching Miami-Dade College Television, where opportunity changes everything. Viewers, welcome back to this special edition of Miami-Dade College in Focus, where today we're talking about the Francisco Foundation and the Francisco Scholarships, which are provided to 3 Miami-Dade College students each year. And as promised, we have one of those winners with us who won just a few weeks ago. We have Jonathan La Rocha joining us. Thanks so much, Jonathan, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to begin by having you talk about yourself, also about a family connection, because your brother is a previous winner for this scholarship as well. Talk to us.
Yeah, last year my brother applied for the scholarship and he was one of the winners, which is actually how I heard about the scholarship. When he won it, my dad was actually really happy because I'm an international student, and so for us the tuition is much higher than the rest of the students. And for this year, the fact that I was one of the winners really helped me and my family out, because I was taking 18 credits and my tuition was about $5,000. So the scholarship plus the money that I get from the honors college, which I'm in,